Okay, so let's get started with the stacking method, your favorite. So I'm just gonna write the title of the method that we're gonna use, so the stacking method. And I think the fraction we'll start with is something simple. Let's go with 3/5 minus 1/2. Started with subtraction because we've become quite comfortable with addition, but not so much with subtraction. So right now I wrote the fractions in horizontal form. Let's stack them, which means we're gonna write them vertical. So I'm gonna take my 3/5 and I'm gonna stack it on top of 1/2. And then I'm gonna write my subtraction sign and draw that beautiful line to remind myself that I am subtracting. And then we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna play a matching game. So I have 2 colors. So at home you choose 2 markers, 2 color pencils, 2 crayons, whatever works for you. And I'm gonna play a matching game because I'm gonna use 1 color to circle my denominator in my first fraction. And I'm gonna color code it by multiplying it by the numerator and the denominator in my second fraction. And then I'm gonna take my second color and do the exact same thing. I'm gonna circle my denominator and I'm gonna take it and multiply it by my numerator and my denominator in my first fraction. So now it looks like this. Now it's easy for us to see that I'm going to take the 5 and multiply it by my numerator, my denominator, my second fraction, and then take the 2 and multiply it by my numerator and my denominator in the second fraction. So keep in mind that the purpose of us using this method is because we have to find common denominators before we can subtract these fractions. Right now, 5 and 2 are not common. They are unlike denominators for each fraction. So the purpose of me stacking and using this method is so that I can find common denominators. So now I'm going to multiply straight across. Up top, 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. And then for my second fraction, 1 times 5 is 5. And then 2 times 5 is, you're right, 10. So then I'm gonna stand back and let you look at this. Previously, I had 2 fractions with unlike denominators. Currently, I have 2 new fractions with like denominators. Both denominators consist of a 10. So now I can go back and subtract these 2 fractions. However, we have to remember that we can only subtract our numerators. Our denominators must stay the same. So 6 minus 5, you're right, it's 1. And my denominator is what? 10. So the answer here is 1/10. I think we're ready for our second method. Should we review? Yes. So we started with 3/5 minus 1/2. Those were 2 fractions with unlike denominators. We use the stacking method to stack each fraction. And then we played the matching game where we chose 2 different colors to circle our first denominator and multiply it by our second fraction, numerator and denominator. And then we circle our second fraction with a different color and we multiply that number by the numerator and denominator of the first fraction. And then we multiply both fractions straight across. We did 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10, which gave us 2 fractions with common denominators. Lastly, we only subtracted our numerators. 6 minus 5 is 1, and our denominator stayed the same. So our final answer was 1/10. So 3/5 minus 1/2, after we find our common denominators, is equivalent to 1/10.